Welcome everyone to Dragon Quest FM, where we talk about and obsess over Dragon Quest. I'm Austin,
I'm BJ.
and this week we're talking about like our best of, like our favorite things that we did in 2025,
Hmm.
video games or otherwise. Um, and since this is kind of a holiday episode, BJ's got his ears back, which was very important to
Ding.
me. To me personally, that was the most important part of this entire episode.
It's true. You guys should, over the course of us planning to do this, you should hear how many times, like, don't forget the ears. You got to find the ears.
Get the
Don't
elf
forget your elf
ears.
hat.
Yeah. Um, Borderline creepy almost.
It's
The
true.
way
You
I'm like,
were,
hey, you gotta do the elf ears.
do the ears.
Do the elf ears, man.
You
Yeah.
got a fever.
I do. I have a fever, and the
The only
only
cure
cure
is more elf
is
ears.
more elf ears. Anyway, so some of this is going to be about video games, some of it's going to be about books, movies, TV, what have you.
Mhm.
Um, I think that we agreed to talk about books first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
so what's some good books you read this year?
I read garbage now. I read almost nothing but like lit RPG books, and they are, I feel as though they're pretty meaningless. I got started on these last year with Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I had sent you for Christmas and you read, and the first one.
First
And
one.
then after that, I've just been reading a lot of these different books, and I'm on book 14 of Defiance of the Fall right now.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and like it's a lot. They're only, I think there are 17 out now, so I'm gonna finish the series soon. Like I think it's at a stopping point, but it's maybe it's on a hiatus. I don't know. But I've been reading those, and honestly, I read the Starfinder book that came out. I got
Mhm.
an advanced copy of that at Gen Con. And as somebody who started playing Starfinder 2 this year, it's kind of become my main RPG that I've played with my in person group. It is fantastic to finally read a novel set in that world. Like, that is probably my favorite book that I've read this year. I don't
Mhm.
know if it's the best written book because I think Wind and Truth came out this year as well, which
December. December.
was it December? Oh,
But you probably read it some
I
this
probably
year,
read
like
it
read
some
it into
during this,
January.
but it was definitely the one that was the most interesting to me. It's called Era of the Eclipse, and it was written by Tim Pratt. Do you remember Tim Pratt at all? I can't remember. I used one of his short stories
Oh,
in classes when I taught called Impossible Dreams, where it was about somebody finding a video store that had all of the movies that were never made, that started getting made but never made it through production. So it was this person who found like the what is it, Jodorowsky Dune and Orson Welles book movies that he never got to make. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read it, but I loved that author ever since then. Like I loved being able to look at it. I used it in a couple of my lit classes for modern literature when I got in there, and may have used it in a comp class. I can't remember, but when I saw that this author was attached, I was like, yeah, I'm reading this immediately. Like as soon as it comes out, I got to read it before it came out, so that was great. Um, but it was, I love the Starfinder setting. Like they've done, Paizo has done a really good job with the Starfinder setting, and
mhm.
this is the first little bit that like there's a storyline part where like to separate, it's in the same world as Pathfinder, but to separate it and make the lore work out, there's like an unknown period of time where everybody has lost their memories, and they call it the gap, and nobody
Hmm.
knows what happened during that period to like change the world. And so it's just this like hanging a lantern on, we're doing this, and it's the first time they've explained anything about what caused it, what was going on, and it takes place during that first like few periods after first few months after people wake up and don't remember anything before that.
Mm.
So it's really good and set in that world, and it's like I really liked it. That was probably the best book I've read this year.
Hmm.
But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, cool.
What about
Um,
you? You read a lot. You read a lot more horror and Stephen King stuff than I do. I know. I don't know if you read like other stuff on top of horror and stuff and fantasy. I don't know
Yeah,
what you've
yeah.
read this year.
I read a pretty like wide variety of stuff. Um, I can't remember if I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but like my wife and I, the last few years, we always kind of have a goal that we try to read enough books that equals out to one book a week for the year.
Mm,
It's like 52 books, right?
yeah,
And I call it a competition. She is constantly like, Austin, it's not a competition. But
everything
I'm
for you is
like,
a competition,
it
though.
is, it is. I'm very competitive. And so anyway, I'm up to like 56 or
Oh
57
wow.
this year. Um, and so yeah, I read a lot of stuff. I think probably I have really enjoyed there's a good book I read at the beginning of the year. Didn't come out this year, but it's called Head Full of Ghosts. That
Mm,
was pretty good.
I don't
I
know
didn't
that
think I
one.
would like it at first because of the way it was written, but then after the first chapter, it felt less like lit class adjectives and more just like actual story.
Right.
And so I liked it. Um, I read a few Grady Hendrix novels, which are really good.
Don't know
Um,
those.
Final Girl Support Group was really fun. If you like us, like slasher movies, like I love the Scream movies, and if you
I
know,
want to read that. I've seen it and haven't picked it up.
it's it's really good. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires is pretty good
That
too.
sounds fun.
Especially if you've actually read Dracula and like Salem's
Yeah,
Lot, then you'll get a lot out of it. Like that's the things I really appreciate about his books is that like they're really good and they kind of have a dark sense of humor to them that's enjoyable, but it's also like if you already like if you're a fan of slasher movies or if you're a fan, if you ever read Dracula,
hmm,
then there's like all these like really like they're just like subtle in some cases, like kind of winks and nods to this stuff that
yeah,
if you've experienced those things, you get a lot out of it. And if you haven't, like you still enjoy it. Like
right.
specifically Final Girl Support Group, like Grace has not seen as many of those older slasher movies as I have, like the older like 80s, early 90s kind of uh like I
Like,
think she's seen like the first Halloween and the first
yeah,
Friday the 13th.
that's the way Jennifer is. Like, she
First
knows
first
of them and
Nightmare
has
on Elm
seen parts
Street.
of them.
Yeah, like she's seen the first, but she hasn't necessarily seen like the sequels or anything. But anyway,
Yeah,
so there's lots of like kind of references that I was like, hey, this one's funny because it's like named after the actress that played this character in this
right.
movie and stuff like that. And
That
so
would be fun.
that that one was good. Yeah.
And what was
I
the vampire one
read
called? The Southern Something Guide to Vampires
Southern Book Club's
book
Guide to
club.
Slaying Vampires. It's
I
like
have.
basically there's just these like middle-aged women in a book club and they slay a vampire. I mean, the title says
That's
everything you need to know.
that's amazing. I have a potential contract in 2026 to work on a vampire project. So over the next few months, I'm going to be really like pulling a lot of vampire books and rereading Salem's Lot and Dracula and other stuff like that. And so that one sounds really great to kind of add in, just have rattling around in the back of my head for that project. So that's really cool. Thank you for that. That's what I was writing down.
Yeah.
If anybody was watching the video and you saw me just looking down, I was making notes to myself to go grab this book.
Yeah, it's good. I'm looking back at my list. We write them down. Like Grace does hers in
Right.
a notebook and I just keep mine on my phone. But some other ones that I enjoyed this year were the Poppy War trilogy,
I've heard
R.F.
so
Kuang.
many good things.
Um, yeah, I mean, they're very dark. Like they start off the first one, I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of like Harry Potter, but with like Harry Potter meets Mulan.
Okay.
And then it
Which
got
sounds
really,
amazing, honestly.
yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to knock that, but anyway, then it got really dark, and it's very well written. I haven't read any of her other stuff yet. I keep getting recommendations like on Amazon and from
Yeah.
like friends. They're like, oh, if you love those books, try these out. So I need to give some more of her stuff a shot, but I really enjoyed those. Um, Yeah, a lot of X-Men, like current X-Men comics. I've been
Yeah,
reading, like I
yeah,
get all
yeah.
those, like subscribed to all those. They're doing Age of Revelation right now.
Hmm.
We're still in the midst of, which is really good. Especially Uncanny Gail Simone's like current run of Uncanny X-Men might be my favorite since like Chris Claremont.
Oh wow,
Um,
that's saying a lot
like
too.
yeah, like I don't know, I think Gail Simone is just a very talented writer, and what she's
She's
been
great.
doing is just like phenomenal, I feel like. And so especially her side of Age of Revelation stuff, like no spoilers, but the first issue she wrote with like Gambit, just number one, I was like, dang, you know what? I think I really love Gambit, who
Right.
previously has been an X-Men that I'm like, he's cool, but he's never been
He's not
like
top tier like
he's
favorite for you.
he's not top 10, for me. Yeah.
He's
And
no
so
Cyclops.
but after oh, dude, I hate Cyclops.
I know
Cyclops is
that's
like
why I said it.
I know he's like their leader. This is like a whole discussion for
It
another
is, it
day.
is.
But
That's
like
why I said it because I was like, here's the tangent.
of every X-Men that's ever existed, somewhere at the bottom is like Long Shot because I hate Long Shot. His whole thing is just like he's lucky and he's handsome. I hate
Yep.
him. But like right up above him is probably Cyclops. Like I don't know. I feel like he's always a jerk and I hate how like self-righteous he is and I just don't like him very much. Um but anyway, yeah, I know you're laughing. People who aren't watching this, he's laughing at me right now,
It's
because
so great.
he I took the bait. But anyway, but yeah, it's phenomenally done. So I really enjoyed that. Read like James Lee Burke's newest like Dave Robichaux novel, Cleat,
I didn't
which
know he
was
was still
cool.
publishing those.
Yeah, there's a new one coming out in like February or March of
Wow.
this next year. And I always really have enjoyed those. Read Stephen King's new book, which sucks, by the way. It's called
Is
Never
that
Flinch.
the I can't remember what it was about, but you told
Okay,
me about it and how terrible it was. Like
it's
it was the one that when we talked about it earlier, that you said don't even read it to hate read it to experience how bad it is. That it's so bad you don't that even curiosity bad is painful waste of time.
yeah. So I'm gonna try to kill this in 2 minutes, so our whole episode's not about it. But I could really rant on this for an hour and a half. So Stephen King wrote a book that would not be published if he weren't Stephen King. And anyway, it's a couple of different converging storylines. It brings in Holly Gibney, who was an interesting character that he honestly should have just moved on from already.
Mm,
But anyway, it brings her back in again. It's like about there's like a serial killer, and then there's also someone who's trying to like maybe kill this like women's rights activist.
right.
Um, it's just the plot is like really just far out there. Like, first of all, it's like they're private investigators and they get hired on to be bodyguards for this woman's right activist who is super famous. Like, it even make this is another gripe, but they make a point of talking about how she has Funko Pops after her.
Mm.
And I'm like, I don't remember Funko's making like pops of women's rights activists, but whatever.
I don't know. There might be a
And
Gloria Steinem Funko Pop out there.
is there? I doubt it. But anyway, with apologies to Gloria Steinem, but I somehow doubt it. But like anyway, but she doesn't have her own like bodyguards, right? So she hires Holly, which I'm just kind of like, well, it's not her job to be a bodyguard. And then also her like kind of sort of helper Jerome, who's been in the other books, he gets hired on to be the bodyguard of Sista Bessie, who's a new character in this like Grammy award winning like soul singer. And I'm
Right.
like, she definitely would have had bodyguards already. And then there's like the serial killer, but instead no one's really looking for it because there's this like cop versus firefighter game happening in the town that
Like
somehow the
baseball game
entire
or a basketball
yeah,
game?
baseball that somehow the entire
Baseball.
town comes out for. Sista Bessie, the Grammy award winning artist, is like coming out to sing in front of it, and they're not going to catch a serial killer because they're all doing it. And it's like Stephen
Wow.
King knows it sucks and is even like multiple times is like has characters being like, this is stupid. And I'm like, just because you get all meta and say it's stupid doesn't mean it's not true and that you shouldn't have just like tossed this in the trash. Um, there's other plot lines with like this character Barbara who wrote like a best-selling book of poems, which totally happens in the real
Which does
world.
not happen.
And
Yeah.
and Sista Bessie loves one of her poems and wants to put it to music to make a song about it. And then Barbara becomes a roadie for her. And then now she's going to be duetting with Sista Bessie on the song. And it's just like one unbelievable like thing after the next. And then even at the end and the afterward, he's like, yeah, some books you kind of just have to let go. I was never happy with this one. And the first draft I gave it to my wife and she was like, you could do better. And I'm just like, I think you probably had a book in your contract that you had to turn
Mm-hmm.
in, and you were like, this is as good as I can get. And you're Stephen King, and so people were like, okie dokie, we'll
Okie
run it.
dokie. It's going to sell
Um,
enough to at least break even.
yeah. And so anyway, just terrible book. Definitely will remember it in 2025 because it's one of those books that I would read for a while, put it down, and go tell my wife. I'd be like, guess what? Crazy, unexpected thing happened now.
That's
And anyway, it's bad. It's not good.
that I'd forgotten it. That took almost 4 minutes, but I think it
Dang
was
it.
well reserved, well deserved on why it was so terrible.
And
But
I'm not even, I feel like I've barely like didn't even scratch the surface fully here. I was just trying to be fast about it,
so
but
I started
it's bad.
listening to Fairy Tale on audiobook. Is it
Mhm.
worth finishing?
I liked Fairy Tale.
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't his best. Like I think probably his last good book was Billy Summers.
okay,
And before that was probably The Outsider.
yeah,
Um, and since Billy Summers, I felt like it's like I for people here who don't know, like I've read pretty much everything Stephen King has read,
hmm,
for better or for worse. And Fairy Tale I thought was pretty good. It's to
right,
the middle to good of his like
okay,
last 10 years. Um, my biggest issue, I guess, really with any of his stuff lately is he's obviously getting older and doesn't understand as much about technology anymore. But also, like his whole thing, like he said this, like this is almost an exact quote, is like, he likes to build up sympathy for characters before he lets the monsters loose, right?
right,
And I think it's becoming a bigger problem where you have so many characters. Like the Institute, for example, was another example where like these weird things happen, almost storybook things happen, where it's like the
right,
main character is suddenly going to be a cop in this Mayberry like town, or like,
right,
this young woman writes a book of poems and is going to duet with a soul singer, where it's like he does it to like build up like
yeah, of
celebratory things for those characters to make
course.
you kind of root for them. But it feels like it now exists in this kind of like weird, like Andy Griffith
Uh,
microcosm that doesn't really exist.
it's no longer
And
dairy kind of danger lurking around every corner. It's just weird
it's like a
Americana.
picturesque, like town. Yeah, like this idealistic little town. And then it's like, but then I'm gonna have a shootout, or then I'm gonna have a thing.
Yeah,
And like that kind of gets to me a little bit where
understandably.
I'm like, this is not how people talk or interact with each other anymore. Like, I don't know if that's just jaded of me to say or not, but I'm like, yeah, people can still be nice to each other. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that, but I'm just like, this is not the way people talk and interact in like the last 10 years, especially like the last five. It's
yeah.
just not.
It's conversation has changed and small talk has changed, and how everybody interacts like that is definitely different. And that's not even touching on people printing out directions from MapQuest, like they're like in that one book when they have cell phones with GPS on them.
Which doesn't happen in this new one, thankfully. But yeah, I mean that was bad enough that I literally, after I think it was Holly, after that one I Googled if Stephen King like owned MapQuest, if he like it was a co-owner of MapQuest or something, because I'm like,
Wow.
bro, I don't know why you're having a 20-year-old, a 20 something print off MapQuest directions from a computer in like 2021. It's supposed to be set like 2021,
Right.
2022. And so
Absolutely not.
like that's weird. And there's even like a part I think in this one in Never Flinch where like he's trying to get to a computer to get information, and I'm like, and he's like 28 or whatever, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that dude is using his phone to get that
Yep.
information. Like at no point is he like, oh, I got to get to the office to look at the computer and look this
Yeah.
up. Like he's looking at his phone, and
Or
it's
he's
just,
pulling out his laptop and tethering to his phone. Like
but it's,
there
I mean, you got to Google something real quick. You pull out your
yeah,
phone and you type it
you
in
pull out
and
your
you're like,
phone and you
yeah.
do
I
it.
mean,
Like that's
even a Luddite like me, that's what I'm doing. And so it's just like, I don't know, but it's something I guess like a man approaching 80 doesn't necessarily think about,
right.
which is
And that's
understandable.
fine.
But, I don't know. It's just, it's been like an increasing problem with his stuff. But,
And stuff like
um,
that doesn't necessarily bother me because there are always conceits in fiction to be able to raise the stakes that even if it's not something necessarily logical for how real people would react, like pulling their phone out for Google search, It's at the very least you look, oh, there's no service. I got to get somewhere with a hard line to do this, and so I'm fine, air quotes, with stuff like that. But it doesn't stop me from enjoying a book, but it does stand out as being like, why don't you just use your cell phone? It's like
Yeah.
that kind of thing has come up in Starfinder. It's like we're playing it like it's a medieval RPG when every suit of armor says in the book that it comes with a communication device that you can talk to people like it's just a comm unit. Like you have a cell phone that can access the internet. And it's just like we forget about that all the time because of being used to it. So
Yeah.
I can understand trying to do it for fiction's sake, but yeah. So other than books, what like TV
Mhm.
and movies and stuff got you this year? Because I went down
Um,
some weird holes this year with TV and movies.
yeah, TV side of it, I enjoyed the new season of Stranger Things. I don't like
Yeah,
that they're making us wait again.
yeah,
Like they did for season 4. But
nice.
we had rewatched all of it right
Hmm.
before. We timed it perfectly with season
Oh,
5.
even with the early seasons, I only rewatched four. I didn't watch one to
Yeah.
three.
We started back at the beginning, rewatched all that. Really enjoyed it. Haven't got around to the new season of Fallout yet, but
There's only one episode out.
that was good.
It's good.
I watched trying to think of some things we watched earlier in the year. New season of Andor, I remember watching and
Mm,
liking it.
Still haven't seen
Um,
Andor.
we we went through like True Detective, which
Oh
was
yeah.
good. I always assumed I would like the show and just, never had HBO or
Yep, never
whatever
done
and
it.
given it a try. I do think the first season they owe some kind of royalties to James Lee Burke because like they captured that tone perfectly, but I'm just kind of,
Right.
and like nothing was purely lifted from it, but I'm just kind of like, man, like the Louisiana setting and like having different, semi supernatural things going on, just
Yeah.
the way the detectives talk. I was like, man,
I've
this
heard
dude
so many
definitely
good things
read
about
some.
that first season.
It's really good. Season 2 is kind of like they tried way too hard to be different.
Oh,
Season 3 is also good. Season 3 is good, but it's also kind of just like, okay, we tried too hard to be different with season 2, so we're gonna
yeah,
basically do the same thing with season 3. And so it feels a little too similar.
yeah.
I have not watched season 4 yet, even though it's finished.
Uh,
Right now we're watching It Welcome to Derry, which is not good. If it
oh, was
wasn't
it
on H,
not?
if it
Oh,
wasn't
I
on,
just finished up the movies, and I finally watched the movies fairly recently in October, and hadn't seen them, and so I was looking forward to watching the show sometime.
if you like things that make no sense and really bad CGI, then it's the show for you. But like
Uh,
it's not good. I don't know why it's getting any praise that it's getting unless it's just the fact that it's on HBO.
mm,
Um, because like if this were on Netflix, people would be tearing it apart. It is like it's really bad to the point that we're like Grace likes it more than I do, I think, but to the
yeah.
point where we're kind of like do we finish this? And I'm kind of like, I don't really care to, but and I didn't just love the movies, the new movies.
Hmm.
Like I thought the first
They
one was
were
pretty
good.
good. I thought the first one was pretty good. The second one was okay. They
Hmm.
also suffered from CGI just not like it stops being scary. Like they do
Yeah,
go overboard with the CGI. Like it's too over the top and it's just not scary.
yeah.
And like the show is even worse because I assume they have less of a
Much lower
budget.
budget.
Yeah, and so the CGI looks even worse. But um like it's bad though when like I've been rewatching Star Wars with my kids, but
Right.
it's bad when the CGI on it is worse than the CGI in Attack of the Clones.
That's bad because it's painful to watch because of how bad the CGI is in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, and it's somehow worse than it Welcome to Derry.
That is an impressive feat that I actually want to see. I want to watch it, Welcome to Derry, and I want to watch it because partially because of how people say it doesn't make sense. I want to see how it lines up with everything with the actual it mythos that
They do they do a really bad job because they're trying to rectify the changes they made in the movie
yeah.
but bring in stuff from the book that doesn't necessarily match up to
Oh,
the movie's continuity, but they're trying to find ways to bring it in. But they're also making the mistake that I feel like a lot of Stephen King, especially shows, have made,
Right.
where instead of just focusing it on this thing, they're like, let's bring in things from the Stephen King multiverse.
Oh
And so
yeah.
like Dick Halloran, like from The Shining, is one of the
Yeah.
main characters in the show. And
Huh.
I'm just like, and the whole plot, this is not a spoiler because this is the plot, but like the whole plot is that the military is bringing in is hunting for it to use as a
Okay.
weapon, and they're using Dick Halloran's Shining to do this. They
Hmm.
can't say The Shining, I assume for copyright reasons,
Right.
but
The
anyways,
Shannon.
they're using his Shining um to find like his to
Huh.
find
Yeah.
Pennywise and it. There's also because they changed the ritual of Chewed to like a Native American
Uh-huh.
thing, they have introduced like the Native American population in Derry,
Okay.
who also know of Pennywise's presence and its
Uh-huh.
presence, and have like these like comet shards that
Right.
keep him protected. And I'm just like, so you're telling me like an entire tribe and the military are all hunting him like 27 years before the events of the first movie. It really
And
takes
then
away. It's unbelievable, but it's also like the whole scary thing with it is that like no one believes these kids, right? Is
right,
that
right, of
like this
course.
happens every year, but no one's really latched onto that. But then all of a sudden with this show, it's like this guy knows it and this guy knows it and the United States military knows it. And it's just kind of like,
I could see that because what got them to the point where they're disregarding it again in the movies
yeah.
with all
And
that going on. Yeah, I can
I'm
see it.
I'm assuming, all those people wind up dead. I don't know if there's like some crazy like, but also one of the main characters is like Mike's grandfather.
Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
like, you're telling me Mike's dad and grandpa, who like knew about all this, stayed in the
Right.
town anyway, and then also like let Mike be born there. And I know there's the whole thing of, like if you move away from Derry, you forget. But I'm
Right.
like, the whole thing with Mike is and his family is they've been there. Like,
They've been in the town. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know. I haven't seen how they like correlate all of this
Right.
because we've only watched the first like four episodes, I guess. But it is one of those things where it's just kind of like I don't know. I think they tried too hard and
And people went
oh,
crazy over them. Part of the reason I didn't watch them until this year was because people went crazy over them and they didn't look like something that to go crazy over. And so I was just kind of watching horror movies in October and found them on HBO or whichever one I caught it on and liked them. I don't understand. Like, I can see why people went crazy over it if they had never been exposed to it before, but it was also like, yep, this is it, and it was
we
good.
we rewatch them on occasion because Grace really likes them,
Mm,
and we also rewatch the Tim Curry one,
yeah, I hadn't
um,
seen it in a long time.
which I tend to like better because it's fun and campy.
Right.
It also has my favorite Pennywise moment of any of the book, of the show, of the miniseries, the movies, whatever. It's my favorite thing. It's when John Ritter's character, he plays Ben,
Yep.
but John Ritter is like kissing who he thinks is Beverly, and then Tim Curry pulls away, is like, and he has clown makeup left on his face, and Tim Curry pulls around and goes, "Kiss me, fat boy," and I love it
it's,
so much. And
it is.
sometimes I just go around finding excuses to say that because it gets me every single time.
I had actually forgotten about Kiss Me Fat Boy, and then the moment you say it, it pops into my head, like seeing that scene.
Yeah,
Uh,
no other It adaptations will ever come close to Kiss Me Fat Boy.
no,
I mean,
it's true.
that's the peak.
That is why Tim Curry is Pennywise. Anything like for me, I actually went on a horror deep dive, but this time it was in the VHS movies,
Mhm.
and man, they are messed up. Like
I've
I'd
heard,
never
yeah.
seen them. I knew nothing about them. You haven't seen them?
No, because I know about them and
Okay.
it's not my jam at all.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know about them. I've only
Oh,
seen
okay.
them like how they like are popular enough to get made as a long series every year. And so I saw that there was a new one that was VHS Halloween, and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna watch all of these this year. That's what I'm gonna do when Jennifer's like in the bath or something. I'm gonna put on one of these movies because she hates horror. And
Uh,
man, they're messed up. They're like I sat there with like my eyes wide. Sometimes I was just like somebody wrote this and then filmed it. And like there are some
yeah.
really, really good skits in there. Like there are some really, really good like little vignettes and shorts within these anthologies. And there are some really, really stupid ones. Like there are some really dumb bad ones too. But the ones that are good are really good. And it kept me going. The very last one though, I feel like it got to the point where they were actually like murdering children and having like actual like on-screen violence toward children, and it bothered me. It was I didn't
But not
used to
in
get
it.
really, but not in it. Like it, I'm like I guess because I've read the book and know so much about it, I know about it. It was just a thing that happened, but it was so gruesome in the way that they did it in the VHS movies that I was just like, no, I don't like that part of it.
But is it like, I think one thing that helps with it is that from the movies at least and like
Right?
miniseries is the camp factor.
Yeah.
Is that it's kind of there's like a fun aspect to it. It's kind of campy and
There's no
everything.
fun in
It's not just
VHS.
okay. That was my understanding is that it was just straight up dark, which
Like, yeah,
I think
it's
could
not
get
dark. That's broke. There are a couple of shorts that have lightness in them, but in terms of like a series presence, it's not like it's built in by any means. But I loved it. But I've been in a dark mood the entire year. We got into cult documentaries too, and got like deep dived into Nexium and Allison Mack and everything, and watched all the documentaries we can find about it and
just
podcasts.
I know we're almost out of time, but I also have to let everyone listening know that somewhere, it doesn't exist anymore, but somewhere once there was an episode of Dragon Quest FM in which BJ talked about this cult for like 20 minutes.
It's true. I did. I accidentally deleted the raw file before we were able to get it up, and so it is lost to the ether. But
Somewhere,
I love
just
it.
once upon a time, you guys were going to get to hear him talk about this for
Yep.
seriously probably a solid 20 minutes.
I don't know if it was 20 minutes. It might have been 10,
It was at
but
least
it
15.
was a while. And so we went all in watching The Vow and the new season of it as well. We started watching the other ones on like Stars. We subscribed to Stars for a little bit to watch the documentary on there. That and just cult documentaries in general. We've been watching that and Orphan Black. I finally got into Orphan Black when it went back on Netflix and
Mhm.
fell a little bit in love with Tatiana Maslany. Like she's about perfect. Like she is such a good actress. It makes me sick that somebody can be that talented.
Have you seen
But
She-Hulk?
yeah, it's great. I love her in She-Hulk.
Okay. I've only heard terrible things about She-Hulk. I haven't watched it.
I love She-Hulk. Like we watched She-Hulk every day when it came out. Like when it was early in the day, I loved it. I don't know. It was one of those things that got hit by a smear campaign because the show was actually delightful.
I haven't watched it. But I'm not the biggest like Marvel like
Yeah.
MCU person around. So I wasn't sure. But I
Yeah.
do tend to like I know a lot of the Star Wars shows that people hate.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like a lot of them I generally enjoy and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fine.
Same for me.
I have a Disney Plus subscription anyway. Might as well get some content, you know?
Yeah, I like the Star Wars shows too. Like I think the Acolyte was this year, wasn't it? Was it this year? It I really liked the Acolyte.
That is one that I haven't watched.
I
That's the only
really
one I haven't
enjoyed it,
watched.
and I was so mad that people
Actually,
got it canceled.
actually, no, I did not like that one. That's the one that I watched like the first two episodes for, and I was just like, I think I'm out.
Oh man,
Um,
you should have gotten further into it. I highly suggest going back. Like it got real good.
I felt like I felt like the acting was bad. I think is what did it for me. It felt
Hmm.
hokey. It felt very hokey.
I like hokey Star Wars though. I like growing up on just the original ones. I like that kind of hokey feeling like you get from A New Hope.
Maybe I wasn't in the mood for it, but I also don't get a hokey feeling from New Hope.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think watching it nowadays, especially if you watched it for the first time nowadays, you would see some of the cheese.
Yeah.
there, but I'm just, especially like as a product of its time, or like watching it as like, I don't know, a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Um, like I don't know. I feel like it does a pretty solid job of like selling you in its like world and
Oh, I
stuff.
think it does. I think it absolutely does. I just think it's a little hokey too. So if you had to pick one thing before we're out of time, if you had to pick
Mhm,
one thing that was like the best thing this year, what is your
mhm.
best thing that you did work, not work, that you read, saw, or played this year?
Okay, well, first of all, I think we're gonna have to do a separate video game episode because I know we're
Yeah,
out of time. So this is
think
just the
so.
best of everything else
Yeah,
episode. Um, let me think. The best?
of these things, then of like
Okay,
books, TV, and
you
movies.
okay. You go first because I've got to think about it. That's a big
Uh,
ask.
Probably the best thing that I saw this year was Orphan Black. I know it's not new this year, but it was the one that took me over. Was Orphan Black, and then in terms of like books and stuff, uh, honestly, I like I said, I wouldn't say that the Starfinder novel was the best thing I read this year. I don't know what the best thing I read this year would be, but yeah, I mean, in terms of like what really engrossed me the most this year in terms of TV and movies and stuff, the Superman movie too. The Superman movie is actually probably my favorite thing that may have come out this year. We didn't even really get to talk about it, but we may on part two. But I liked it a lot. Like it surprised me how much I liked it.
Yeah, when you first asked the question, I was like, oh man, do I want to say Superman? Because I don't go to movies like theaters very often to watch
Right,
movies. Like most of the time, especially right now, it's just I'm kind of everything's like a franchise movie or a sequel, and I'm
yeah,
just kind of like, eh, there's plenty of stuff on like Netflix or whatever for me to watch. I'm just gonna wait for this
right.
to come to like a streaming service. And so I really don't go to movie theaters very often. But Superman was one of those where, I really liked Smallville when I was younger,
Hmm.
and I thought Man of Steel was okay, but not fantastic.
Right.
And so same thing with Superman Returns when that one came out.
Yeah,
Like I thought it was fine, but not
it's fine.
fantastic.
It's good.
And so I was eager to see this one because I tend to like, James Gunn movies, whether it's like Guardians of the
Yep.
Galaxy or
Or
Suicide Squad.
Slither.
Slither, I like Slither too. Yeah. Even I mean he wrote like Scooby-Doo movies, right? Like I like those. He
They're
wrote
good. Yep.
he wrote Dawn of the Dead, which is less good, but still I
But I
mean
still like
fine.
it.
Yeah. And so, I think it was just that, I walked out of Superman feeling happy.
Happy. Yeah, that's a good way. Good word.
Um, and so, I think that was a high point. Um, but honestly, other than that Stephen King book, pretty much everything I talked about in this episode, have enjoyed to some degree.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. Like I haven't really hit any real stinkers this year. Like finding stuff. I probably spent the most time on the on VHS movies and Orphan Black because I binged all 5 seasons of it real fast.
Yeah.
But well,
So
guys,
we'll
that's
we'll we'll do a follow up because
yep.
we're like pretty much running it to a T right now. But we'll do a follow up talking about video games and maybe some more of this favorite stuff we didn't get to today. You can talk to us on Twitter, Blue Sky at Dragon Quest FM. I'm at both of those places at Dragon Questin. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. We would love
It's
you
true.
for it.
We would love you for it. And I'm on Twitter as BJK Games, Blue Sky, BJKGames.com, and we're also on Patreon at patreon.com/Dragon Quest FM.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.